it was cooler. Hopefully, a few people will join us tonight. This is the second week that I've run or tried to run Geek to Geek open forum. So, hopefully people will jump in here and start chatting and sharing of interest to them. I've got Big Bang Theory on right now on TV, and 7 o'clock I'll put on Hulk, and then 8 o'clock I'll watch Wonder Woman on. Oh, I just missed tonight. They're getting a haircut. But tonight, was getting a haircut. Oh, okay. They're here, but they're getting a haircut. I guess they're on now. So I was hoping a couple other people would join us tonight, and I have yet to figure out, did I miss much? No, you didn't. Just started. Oh my goodness, we're off to a slow start here. Anyhow, it's Sci-Fi Saturday night, and that's always an exciting night for me. I already went ahead and had something to eat so I could sit and do this, and then make some popcorn and watch Super Sci-Fi Saturday night on ETV. So I decided not to go with Wild Wild West tonight. I decided to leave Big Bang on while I do this tonight, and then I will watch the Hulk. There's talk of another Hulk movie coming, and they should be putting the Red Hulk on screen. So that sounded interesting, as well as a possible animated version of the TV series Gotham, which I've been reading a great deal about tonight. So, a couple of things out there, and that new show. Oh, it's the spoof on Star Trek, and I keep forgetting what it's called, and I wanted to talk about that tonight. Let me quick pull up that information. Orville, I think it's called Orville, is what I'm thinking. Orville. TV show. Here we go. TV show. That's the one that's coming at. That's the one that's coming out. Okay, where's the stream at? I'm getting messages here, so people are trying to find me, which is good. So I've just directed one person over here. And Orville is something I wanted to talk about. When I saw the ads for Orville, I got the impression that they were making a TV series out of Galaxy Quest. Because this is, I believe, Seth MacFarlane. And it's a spoof on Star Trek, which is what Galaxy Quest was. And they're making a TV show called The Orville, and The Orville is going to spoof Star Trek. I think it starts this fall. It'll be on Thursday nights at 9 p.m. following Gotham. So Thursday nights will be a pretty good, oh, people are saying hello, pretty good night on Thursday nights. I had a thought about Galaxy for a half a minute. No conventions ever asked me to do the Galaxy Quest talk, but I have a lot I want to talk about with Galaxy Quest with respect to fandom. And let me just lower my TV here so I can hear myself. Hopefully everybody can hear me okay. Hope I can't type and talk at the same time for coming by. So maybe I'll just respond by talking instead of trying to type. It's good to see a couple of people in here. I think there's a couple of people in here. Nick is in here. It looks like maybe we have Alan in here too. I'm not sure. It says we have two people watching, so I'm not sure who exactly is watching, but we have a couple of people watching. I wanted to talk about whatever you want to talk about. So if Nick has something he wants to bring up, I know Nick always has some topics. Nick is trying to oh, Gabe who is working on Orville? Alan, Gabe who? Gabe, give me a name, because I don't know anybody offhand. Gabe, I could think of several people, though. Hi, Nick, I see you there. Alan, who is Gabe? Gabe working on Orville. What Gabe? So I'm waiting for that response. I could go to my phone or punch up Google, but I'll wait. Orville looks like a fun show, really. It's like they made Galaxy Quest into a TV series. To me was great because there was that one scene when one of the aliens was dying, and the actor there was one of the characters there that was standing over him and really realized feed crashed. Whose feed crashed? Oh, I know who you're talking about. Gabriel Koner from Trekkies. Yeah, I know Gabe. I haven't talked to him in quite a while. Looks like his feed crashed. What does that mean, his feed crashed? I suppose Alan will let me know what that means. Um, but yeah, Galaxy Quest really to me, even though it was a spoof on Star Trek, which was a fun spoof on it for sure, really showed people what fandom was all about and how much fandom really means. I mean, how much these shows really mean to the fans, and how it really impacts their everyday lives, um, very deeply. Your feed's choppy. My feed's choppy. It looks okay on my end, so I'm not really sure what to tell you there, Alan. I see everything running smoothly in real time. It seems to be running okay. The internet connection's fine. So I'm not really sure what's going on. My internet connection looks really good. Yeah, and I can see myself on screen, and it's going at normal time there. Anyhow, hopefully you'll be able to see it okay. Nick is still there. I'm not sure what that means either, but hopefully that means you can see us okay, or see me okay, anyhow. Yeah, what have you heard about Orville, anyhow? Nick or Alan, what have you guys heard about Orville? Orville looks like a great show. I mean, I've done some reading about it. It is now fine. Okay. All right, the feed is fine. I haven't moved. I'm just sitting in the living room. So I haven't moved. Nothing's happened. The feed should be okay, and it looks like from what you guys are saying it is. Justin's here. So we've got Justin, Nick, and Alan. And we were kind of just chit-chatting about Orville for a little bit there. Um, okay, I'll let you guys figure out what's going on with your feeds on an individual level, because everything looks fine here and the internet's fine. Hi, Justin. Yeah, everything's going as well as it could go. But I'm glad you jumped in. We were talking about, well, I brought up Orville, that new TV series that's coming on after Gotham this fall on Thursday nights at 9, the spoof on Star Trek. And Alan was mentioning that Gabe Kona was probably working on it. So I'm glad that, I haven't talked to him in quite a while. I'm glad that he's up and running and doing some work again, hopefully. Um, I'd heard he had some rough times there himself. So that's when, we all lost touch. So I'm not sure, what's been happening with him. But that's good if he's doing something. It looks like we lost Alan, but he may have a bad connection. Anyhow, Nick and Justin are here. So what are you guys up to? And what do you want to talk about? We were kind of talking about Orville. I'm looking forward to it. It's really like a TV show made, Seth MacFarlane, and it's a spoof on Star Trek. I mean, to me, that's going to be fun. But before Justin jumped in, I mentioned something about Galaxy Quest. No conventions ever asked me to do the Galaxy Quest material that I have. I've put it out there a few times, and I'd really like to talk about how Galaxy Quest really shows. I mean, yeah, it's a funny film. It's a spoof on Star Trek. Ah, Alan's back. Okay, I'm not sure who else we lost here. It says we have two people, but I'm sure that somebody's out there. My signal shot. I'm not able to keep up with your live video. This is weird. I wonder if it's something in the weather and the... I mean, it's broadcasting to me fine. I feel bad because there's nothing showing oddly to me here. Yeah, Alan, I do. I want to see... no, it's not wrong. I'd rather see Orville myself than Star Trek Discovery at this point. Um, I've been reading a lot of different things about Star Trek Discovery. There was a post that we were all going back. This is a good time to bring it up, too. Maybe some feedback is a good idea. Um, I noticed that I was involved in a discussion on my personal Facebook page, and I didn't mean for it to go get as carried away as it did. It just seemed to take on a life of its own. Yeah, it could be a Facebook thing. I'm not really sure. But I mean, I can see myself on my screen in real time, and everything looks good, and my internet connection's fine. So I'm not sure what else, you know. Okay, that's good to know. It's not me. Anyhow, regarding Star Trek Discovery, a lot of people were, and Justin could probably speak to this too, if he was there at the SAC Trek a couple of years ago when it was about network TV Star Trek or science fiction in general, and and he had, you know, science fiction really doesn't do well on network TV, and there's not really a market for it, and it's so nichey, I think, too, that, you know, it's hard. And Star Trek, you know what, Star Trek's never had ratings, even though we got 7 years of Next Gen and DS9 and Voyager. It's always one of those nichey type shows, and it appeals to a small audience. And so, though it ran, I don't think it was, you know, what the networks really would like to see. And that's what I think Tim Russ was getting at when he was mentioning why, you know, streaming science fiction is more successful. Scott Grimes is in. Okay. Do you know who he's playing, Nick? Scott Grimes? Or are you talking about Orville? But, you know, Star Trek Discovery, I'm on the fence about what I think of it, but we were talking the other day on Facebook. I have to pay the $5.99 for the subscription to it. And I'm not sure that I want. Oh, in Orville. Okay, thank you, Nick. That's actually pretty cool. I haven't had it yet. But I don't know what you guys think about this paid subscription to CBS All Access. And I don't know how many people will actually use any other shows if they're just purchasing it to see Star Trek. And, you know, that was a concern because you're paying $7, $8 a month, you know, on average for Netflix and Hulu. And then I pay $20 a month for Sling TV. So it's like, do I want to pay another $6 a month for one show? And if you look online, I did some research this morning, CBS All Access doesn't want to make itself open and available, even if you've got satellite services or cable services. You know, there's higher packages you have to get, from the looks of it, to get CBS All Access included in whatever it is you want for a TV provider. So they're not ready to be a streaming access channel, it doesn't seem. So I don't know if that's will, or if people will spend the $6 a month, even though they're paying for Hulu and Netflix and maybe something else, in order to get CBS All Access, or pay even more on cable to get that. I don't really know. So if you guys want to, you know, chime in about that, that would be great. Let's see. Alan said, I don't think Star Trek needs to be. Let me see if I can get that comment back. Trying to see there. Yeah, Jason, I'm trying to get that comment back though. Yeah, from what I've read, Alan, from what I've read and what I've read about Star Trek Discovery, they're they're actually trying to go with a kind of a Game of Thrones style of TV, with Star Trek, or a style of Star Trek using Game of Thrones, I guess, as a model, where, you know, none of your main characters are safe. Anybody can be killed off at any time. You know, it takes away that safety valve. It's kind of like having the holodeck, and you know no one can really get hurt or die. You turn off the safety control to the holodeck, and anything can happen. So in a way, I do like that aspect of it. I saw a couple of the trailers, and the trailers actually looked pretty decent from what I saw. And, you know, I'm still on the fence about it myself. I believe we get to see one episode free, and then it goes to the all subscription service. And again, if you have comments on the subscription streaming, you know, please chip in with that too. But Discovery, to me, I don't know that it's going to be worth $6 a month. CBS All Access for one station for one is a hard thing. And if it doesn't turn out to be worth it, I suppose you can always cancel. But the trailers I've seen, make it look like it's going to be pretty decent. I just don't like how nobody really wants to touch it. In Discovery. Okay, I guess you two Star Trek Discovery now. Um, yeah, it's a little bit concerned to be involved with Star Trek Discovery. I was reading they did sign a contract of sorts with. Oh, I do. I appreciate that. Thank you. I guess I got that posted up there for Nick now. I think they signed a contract recently, and the I like about it was that I was reading a lot of mentions of them bringing in cameos right away. Do we do time travel and we bring William Shatner in you know, as himself in the future to come back? Who else could we bring in? And it sounded like, look, to me, I think you should be developing story, you should be developing character. Why are you already talking about who you're going to bring back, for favorite characters to do cameos? I did like hearing that Jonathan Frakes was going to do some directing. I always liked his work, and I think he has a good grounding in Star Trek. Yeah, the first one's going to be on TV, and then, it's hard though. It's really hard to judge a show, the first season of a show. I think a show, really, any show. Yeah, only that one, and then you've got to get on the streaming. So what do you guys think about it going just to streaming? Just to streaming for subscription. Are there any thoughts on that at all? Like I said, we had a pretty heated discussion the other day on my personal Facebook. Some woman made a post that said, it's going to be hard for me to spend the money to afford, $6 more a month. And I got the impression that she might be on limited income or a low income individual, but she was really distraught that she wasn't going to have access to Star Trek. And so I posted back, and I didn't even think of that. A lot of people are spending you don't like what? The idea of streaming, Alan? I don't like it streaming either in that sense where you have to get a subscription service for it. Um, and that's what we were talking about the other day. This woman had made this comment in the Star Trek Discovery group on Facebook. Yeah, Netflix. Netflix, that's what I said on my post. When this poor woman posted and said that she couldn't pay another $6 a month for anything, I got the impression again like she was low income or on a fixed income perhaps. And I made a post back explaining that, it is hard because science fiction, only appeals to us. It's hard for science fiction to appeal to the mass audience. It really is. And so I understand CBS wanting to stream it, and especially on their new all access station where you have to subscribe. Okay, I got you. Yeah, so I agree with you, Alan. I totally agree. I put out the word there on my post back too that, it could hurt people. Honey, are you going to spend for TV? $100, $150 for AT&T or, Time Warner or a Charter, Dish, and then you can't even get. Yeah, I don't know now. Let's see. Most will try to find online somehow anyway, especially if you have a Kodi box. If I can log in my Sling TV account or my Roku box in some way, and I haven't been able to access it, it still wants me to have a subscription. You can find CBS All Access on any device, but I will tell you, Mike, and I went through it again this morning, was that I had to log in with my Sling TV account. I have CBS All Access through my Roku box, and then it gave me an access code. Told me to go to the website and type it in. So I did. I went in and typed in the activation code. Once I did that, it asked me for my service provider. So it's still requiring you to have a service provider list. I logged in. It activated my CBS All Access, but then on the screen on my TV, it asked me for my subscription options. It told me I needed to sign up for a subscription still. So I didn't care for that. I'm already paying for my Sling TV, and I'm paying. I bought my Roku box. I tried logging in with my Roku account, which it also allowed me to do, because if you went online, it gave you the option to type in CBS All Access / Roku. And I did the same thing that I had done with the Sling TV. I put in my information, my password for my Roku box, and it still prompted me to buy a subscription to CBS All Access. That's when I did a little bit more reading about this and found that if you have a satellite service or a cable service, to get the CBS All Access channel in that service package. So it's still going to be difficult, I think. And now, what is a Cody box, Nick, and how does that work? The Cody box. Hopefully you can hear and see me. But yeah, what is I'm not familiar with a Cody box. And if that works, to avoid the problem of the subscription, where it kept forcing me to get one. On the Facebook page the other day, I made that point that, I don't think it's going to be, something that I really know, Netflix or Hulu. And, honestly, I don't see why they couldn't make a deal. But, I thought it was hard when that woman posted and said, I really can't pay another $6 a month. And she was really distraught she wouldn't be able to see the show. And I just wondered then at that moment how many people would not be able to. I understand why it needs to stream. And that's obviously a ratings kind of thing. But I'm not really certain. I mean, there are people on fixed incomes and low incomes and so forth, and they can't buy the tech and pay the $6 subscription price. They can't access the technology necessarily. So they may be at more of a disadvantage, really, in being able to see the show. It may have been easier to get more people involved with very little technology, perhaps, if they just. So I don't know. I don't know how people really feel about it. But yeah, Nick, what is the Cody box? And would the Cody box be any different than the Roku box? And would I still be prompted to have to buy a subscription to CBS All Access? Let me take a look here and see if I can. I don't want to flip out of my screen here. Ooh, there's some new Batman stuff on my Twitter feed. I don't want to veer off and jump into Batman right now while we're discussing this. But yeah, Nick, what is a Cody box, and is it similar to a Roku box? And would people be able to get CBS All Access and get around that subscription issue? That's what I want to find out. I'll let you answer that question. Well, here's an article that just popped up here. Though, in talking to Rod Roddenberry at an event here in Reno a couple of weeks back, maybe about 3 weeks ago now, we were at the Space Center here in Reno, the Challenger Learning Center, and I was on a panel. It was our event, Be the Astronaut, and we had Batman, I know. I could veer off into Batman very easily. I'm trying not to do that tonight since we're on this other subject. But yeah, I was talking to Rod Roddenberry at the Be the Astronaut event, and we all shared a panel together, and at the film festival, and he spoke about Discovery, and he brought a trailer with him as well. And he said that he was reassured by the folks there at CBS that it would maintain the essence of Trek philosophy, and be socially significant and so forth. So, he seemed pretty positive about it. I saw the trailers there, a couple of them, and I felt very positive about it at that point. So I am curious to see the show. I do feel honestly that any show, not just Star Trek, but any show has to be given at least a good year to establish itself, for the actors to develop some chemistry, for the characters to start developing chemistry, for the characters to even develop themselves, and for the writers to start working with that group, both actors and the characters, and write some good stories around those individuals to make it all really work. So any show is going to take its time in getting off the ground. I mean, even Gotham, as much as I love Gotham right now, the first year, I tell people who go to watch it on Netflix, it is slow. The first year is not that fantastic, but get through it so you know what's going on, you know who's who and what's what. And then watch seasons 2, and of course now season 3 just wrapped up, and they're going into season 4. There's even talk of an animated version of Gotham, which is fantastic for those of us who love Gotham. I hope you're agreeing with me on the the time it takes for a show to find its legs, to find its grounding. So I'd love to be able to give Discovery that kind of time. Next Gen did the same thing. If you look at Next Gen, the first year, a lot, some things that were very reminiscent of the original series. And but after the first season of Next Gen, they started to their way, and it became a decent series. Hello, Robert. We've been kind of all over the boards here, and people are popping in and out on evenings. The spoof on Star Trek show that Seth MacFarlane developed. We're also talking a great deal about Star Trek Discovery. Couple of things: do people want streaming or don't they want streaming? How do they feel about the streaming subscription service in general, and maybe some ways around being able to access it for people that may honestly not be able to access that, and then general feelings about Star Trek Discovery. What people think. I like the idea that they are willing to have a lot of character conflict, which is something Gene Roddenberry frowned upon greatly in the original series and even Next Gen. And after his death is when we saw more conflict develop between main characters, which I think is more realistic, more applicable to the real world scenarios. You know, and conflict among main characters is a good thing. And when we saw it very successfully managed in Star Trek, in later in DS9 in particular, certainly in Voyager. Voyager was fantastic because it had all that open territory. Nothing was written for it. There were no ground rules, and they were in the Delta Quadrant, so anything goes. And I did like that. So Discovery will have conflict among the main characters, and that's a good thing. And they're going with that kind of Game of Thrones vein where you never know because you turn on the TV next week, you go to watch your show next week, your main character may be dead. So I do like that, you have that option. I know that I've sat around watching a lot of Star Trek and I'm like, oh, you can't kill that person off, because it was always, and used to be in the original series, if you wore the red shirt, you were the dead person. You were the guy that was going to get knocked off. You always knew Kirk, Spock, McCoy, Scotty, they were all coming back. So I do like that there's going to be main character conflict. I do like the idea that, main characters will die. I don't like the idea that they've been talking so much about. Well, one more I do like that they signed John. I do like that. I think he knows Trek, and he really is excellent for this. Other thing is the don't likes. Oh gosh, I just lost my train of thought. I don't like the idea that they've been talking cameo. There's been a lot of articles out there about cameos and who they're going to bring back. There's talk of William Shatner coming back, talk of Michael Dorn coming back. George Takei being his future self. And they look at or to Paul or other people that they thought were favorite characters coming back as from the future to come and talk to the crew of Discovery for whatever reason. They would need to be back from the future to help them out of some situation. So I just think it's a little early to be talking cameo appearances and what favorite characters can we bring in to get people's attention, to get the fans to notice. And in my opinion, look, develop your show, develop your characters, write your stories. Don't worry about, the fans. The fans are going to be there. The fans will watch your show. They'll buy your subscription as long as you've got solid story, you're socially relevant in the Trek way that fans have come to know and appreciate, and develop your characters. You'll have fans watching the show. You won't need the gimmicks of cameos and such. And that's why I think it's a good thing that Jonathan Frakes has agreed to direct for Discovery. I think he's very well grounded in basic Trek philosophy and the knowledge of Trek. And so I think that will add to the show, certainly add to the show and make it a better show. And I'm certainly looking forward to seeing Orville on Thursday evenings. My Thursday evenings will be pretty full. I've got Gotham at 8 with Season 4 coming in. Again, to mention, they are making an animated version of the TV show Gotham. And then 9 p.m. on Thursday nights will be Orville. And I'll be curious to see what they do with that. Seth MacFarlane is fantastic with what he does with TV shows. So I think that'll be interesting. If you guys have any other comments, we still have 20 minutes here. And then I watch Hulk at 7, and then I watch my Wonder Woman at 8, and then original series Star Trek at 9. So I've got a whole sci-fi and comic evening for myself on Saturday nights. That's when I throw the popcorn and the pizza in and just kind of kick back. So I'm curious, I've been kind of chatting away here for a while. What are your take? What's your take on some of this in terms of the streaming, the subscriptions? What do you think Discovery will be like? What have you heard about Discovery or Orville or anything else you want to put out there? And I know at some point, Nick, I'm glad you stuck around here. I do see that people may be having some feed issues too, but and I feel badly about that because it's not affecting my end here. And I know that this is only the second week that I've offered to sit down and just kind of have an open forum discussion about all things geek. So I come in here with some things that I can throw out there for discussion. Hopefully, by week 3, next Saturday, we'll have more people in here, and people will start getting the idea. I'll do another post tonight announcing the new event for next Saturday night, 6 to 7 p.m. I'm here every Saturday now. It started last week. I'm here tonight. I will be here next Saturday night. Same bat time, same bat channel, that kind of thing. And really what this is an open forum for anybody who wants to come and talk about, cosplay, gaming, TV shows, current or past, movies, anime, animated shows, comic books. This is a wide open forum for anybody that really wants to just jump in and has something to say about, anything that's geek, so all things geek. And then, if you want to get into any deeper issues, that's fine. This is the kind of forum where I do try to maintain some of my academic um, thought processes. However, last week, I got a little bit off on my fan side of things, and I have no aversion to opening up the fan side of me to some of these issues, and, let that side come through. That's always fun because I don't get to do it too often. And then, Nick, I know you've got some things you want to talk about at some point. Nick is trying, I think you're also becoming a professional cosplayer. And I know you're in the process of developing quite a few things yourself. I mean, if you want to introduce anything here, that's great. Anybody that's been here or is here, please, tell people that we're doing this on Saturday nights. It's just, it's really, a very informal get together. Um, and it was spawned when I was, a couple of years ago. It was my first Reno Comic Con, so we're going on 4 years. My goodness, it was 2000. In 4 years, yeah, 2013, I guess, when I did my first Reno Comic Con. Anyhow, I was there, and my topic for that day, it was a one-day show back then. Now it's a two-day show, the San Reno Comic Cons, and my topic was, anthropology of X-Men, cultural imagery of X-Men. So I went in and set up my panel and put up my PowerPoints and started my discussion with people. And about a half hour into it, the person who ran programming came in and said, "Hey, we lost one of our guests. They had a crisis. Could you fill a second hour?" Sure. So I sat there and filled the second hour. Part of it was X-Men, part of it was not X-Men anymore. We were talking about anything that came to people's minds. And we were talking science fiction, we were talking comics, we were talking games, we were talking anime. It just kind of took on a life of its own. Well, partway through that, he comes in again. And he says, "Hey, we just lost another guest. Could you carry on for a third hour?" And I said, "Sure, I'll do another hour." Well, by the time we wrapped this up, it was 3.5, almost 4 hours. One reason we had to stop, it wasn't because somebody else needed the room. It was because I really needed to use the restroom, and I really needed something to drink. And so I asked people, I had no voice anymore, and I asked people if it would be all right, come see me at my table, and, we'll carry on some of the conversations. Well, I had such a great time doing this just off the cuff open forum, is what it really became out of my X-Men talk, that I formalized it for conventions. Formalized it even further, we started calling it Geek to Geek Open Forum. And so that's what I've done with this here. I've done it, for several conventions because it's a lot of fun out there, and you have no idea. A couple years, was it last year? No, the year before, I was doing SnafuCon. And we held the open forum. And this guy comes in, and he looks like he's in a a steampunk type outfit with this giant top hat on, and he had antlers attached to it and a few other things hanging off the antlers. And so we started talking about cosplay and what he might be, trying to represent. And he had no idea. He said he had never been to a convention, be randomly sticking things together to wear to come to the convention, different things he liked all in one. And so that made for an interesting discussion. So yeah, I've done these talks at conventions where the whole Geek to Geek forum is nothing but a fantastic topic unto itself. And I could carry on for days about that. Notice, You know that since we're on since I have cosplay on the brain post here, um, there was I was flipping channels one afternoon last week, and I saw this guy on Dr. Phil. We all talk about how the people on the outside of our world don't understand us. They don't understand who we are. They don't understand what we do. They don't understand the importance of comics or science fiction or anime or any of that stuff. You know, we all probably have our stuff when we grew up. And the media, the people, the conventions in town, here they come in their costumes. And this guy on Dr. Phil, his parents brought him on the show because he lives in elaborate costumes. But I guess he's got several other issues, and but this all centered around him dressing up. One of the stories was about him dressing as Batman and going under tower and going around town acting like a vigilante, which caused a lot of problems and got him into trouble and you name it. So, when I got hooked on watching that for a minute, only because it struck me as, wow, there are people that are going to see this and think that cosplayers are dangerous or really insane or have some kind of mental health issues, I guess. And that's not at all the situation. A few days after that Dr. Phil episode, I saw another newscast. I was just flipping channels and the news was on. I wanted to catch the weather, and there was a story about a man in Texas who was dressing up as superheroes and visiting kids in hospitals. And it was so awesome. There's a group in Northern California. Nick probably knows them. I believe they're called the Avengers. And they cosplay. And they do a lot of community activities, it looks like. And a lot of positive stuff. There's the Japanese Superman. Because he did get plastic surgery so that he could look more like Superman, our version of Superman, here in the United States. And really, that's the image of Superman that's well known around the globe. But he does good deeds. He goes around and does good deeds. And so how bad is that when people are cosplaying for a good cause? The 501st is well known for its service. I know many Klingon groups that do just as much service. If Justin is still on here, and I'm not sure if he is or not, but Starfleet International. Starfleet does a lot of good stuff for the community as well. Yeah, they wear uniforms, and yeah, they exist in a world that's based on Starfleet in Star Trek, the Federation. But how bad is it when you're actually serving your community or improving yourself as an individual? But I can certainly see how someone would watch that Dr. Phil show and have a very negative impression of people that wear costumes and go to these events. So that's another subject that I'd like to put out there and see what people have to say. We're going on about 10 minutes of 7. I think Nick is still here. I'm seeing various comments too. But yeah, Nick, I mean, if you've got some topics you want to bring in next week, I'm hoping we can build an audience. When this is over tonight, tomorrow I'll get a copy of it posted on my YouTube and put a link up to my Twitter and a link on my Facebook. But this is an open forum, like I said, that can go anywhere that people want to take it. So I'm hoping we can build an audience and we can just, kick back. It's like I called everybody up and said, hey, what are y'all doing tonight? Come hang out in my living room, right? And we get talking about one subject and it leads to others. And of course, I've gone over here and I've got my Indiana Jones and Firefly Monopoly. I was pleased to see there's a Firefly Monopoly that I finally found. And my little stuffed Hulk. So there's my little Batmobiles over there. So yeah, it's like, come hang out in my living room and let's just talk about whatever interests you at the moment. I'm glad we talked a little bit about Discovery, but I think I did most of the talking. I didn't really hear too much feedback. I know Alan agreed with a couple of things there, which was good to hear. Sometimes I think I live in my own world and my own, with my own opinions, and I really do want to chit-chat with other people because you know what? That's a good point to bring up at the end here. You know, we all have our opinions on things, and that's great to have your opinion on things. The one thing that I really hate to do when I teach is teach people my opinion of something. And I try to do this when I lecture at conventions as well. I try to keep my opinion out of the classroom, out of the panel discussion. Because my opinion's a couple of things. My opinion as a fan, you don't really need to hear. You know, you're there for a different type of discussion when I'm at a convention. An open geek forum like this, hey, let's go wild. But yeah, my opinions are also very much subject to change. This is why I like to read articles. This is why I like to watch clips or watch trailers. Talk to other people, see what they have to say. You know, some new information was posted here tonight that I didn't even know about Discovery or about technology. Excuse me. And so, you know what? By exchanging our ideas, by exchanging our opinions, and listening to what the other people have to say, you know what? I may take in new information and tomorrow morning wake up and say, wow, now I've got a whole different way to look at this and I have a whole new opinion. You know, I was saying earlier, since I was talking about Orville and Galaxy Quest, I would love a convention to have me do my Galaxy Quest talk. I think as funny and fun as Galaxy Quest ever was, I think the one reason it's remained so popular is not because it was just, you know, fun and hysterical poking fun at Star Trek and Star Trek conventions. I think the one thing that Galaxy Quest did very well, exceedingly well, was that it showed how much these characters and their stories impact people every day, and how important those stories are to the everyday people that are those fans need to get together and participate in the narrative at the conventions, reach out and own parts. There are life goals that were by these things, and you know that came through so well in Galaxy Quest. And I think why people continue to really pay attention to Galaxy Quest, and perhaps even in a small way, I'd like to think maybe how Orville was sprouted. I don't know. I haven't read enough about Orville yet, and certainly I haven't seen it yet. I'm waiting for that to come to be, you know, like everyone else, the end of September. So I think that'll be exciting as well, an interesting show. But so many topics we could discuss. Um, you know, and I will tell you this, Nick, because I know you keep asking about doing a panel at a convention and talking about bullying, and we sure as hell can do it. 2 years ago at SnafuCon, I had a friend of mine who's a geek rapper come in, and he says, hey, I want to sit in on your Batman and Superman panel. And I said, sure, come join me. You know, and he's had me join him on some anime ones that he's done. And we've had a great time interacting and learning from one another. But when he sat in on the Batman Superman one, he had a whole nother perspective on Batman and Superman. You know, given his ethnic background, it was like really intriguing to me how he had interpreted material from these two franchises. And he got off on talking about racism and the subject of bullying. I noticed when I ran my kids' college class at the college, Creatures and Cultures of Star Trek and Star Wars, we were talking about lessons from the Jedi, and we had kids, one kid brought up the topic of bullying and how you could use Star Wars to help yourself, you know, and respond to people who are bullies. And so it blew me away. So yes, Nick, I very much want to put together a panel that uses, you know, science fiction, comics, anime, cosplay, you know, anything we want to draw from to use to discuss bullying in a safe way, and maybe promote some anti-bullying ideas using our superheroes and our science fiction worlds. I think that would be a real fun time. I hope you're still out there somewhere. I'm not sure who's still in here. I can't really tell. It doesn't. It doesn't tell me who's still here, so I'm not sure who I'm still talking to. Anyhow, I will do some posting after this closes up. We've got the last few minutes here. And in closing, I just want to thank the few people who popped in, who maybe stayed for a minute or longer. A couple of you that made some comments and asked a couple of things. This will stay on my Dr. D Geek Anthropology site here on Facebook, and I'll make a download of it and transfer a copy over to YouTube and post the link over on my personal Facebook for folks, as well as my Twitter. And mention that August 2nd I've got a talk on women in science fiction in Lodi at the World of Wonder Museum coming up. But yeah, this is week 2 of the Geek to Geek Open Forum, and I got more people than I did last week. I think I was to myself really last week is what was going on. I was basically talking to myself last week. And, it's a night out, really. Stay in and hop online and have a night out visiting me in my living room and talking about, all things geek. Whatever interests you, whatever topic you want to bring up, wherever you want to go with the topics. I'm here to do that and have us all just kind of hang out together as a group and have some fun with it. So hopefully next week we'll get a few more people. I know a couple of people expressed some difficulties with their feed for some reason, and I'm not sure what that was all about. So, I will sign off for now. I will put up another post advertising the event for next week. I really enjoyed being here and hopefully chatting about something that someone was interested in. And I will see everyone next Saturday, which would be July 8th, I believe, July 8th at 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific time. In the meantime, feel free to message me on Facebook. Hit me up on my email, d4z1@gmail.com. And I just put a message up here. And, see what you all want to do on Geek to Geek Night. And hopefully I'll see people back here next week chit-chatting. I wish Justin had made it so we could talk about a few other things there. With respect to what he does with his Starfleet group and community service. Because I'd love to discuss the pros and cons of how the public sees people who cosplay. That would also be a fun thing to talk about. So I will see everybody, same bat time, same bat channel, next Saturday night at 6 to 7 p.m. Pacific time. Thank you. Have a good night and enjoy Super Sci-Fi Saturday night on MeTV.